guys, how's it going? MasterBucks here, how are we all doing? Hope you are all doing well. Congratulations if you are indeed a Liverpool fan after they secured the Premier League title. I will admit, and I will come clean and say that yes, I've given Liverpool and Liverpool fans a lot of shtick on Twitter. I kind of had a bit of come to God moment not too long ago where I sort of realized something. We were all kind of like hoping that Liverpool wouldn't win, or most football fans would hope that Liverpool wouldn't win, so that way the meme of it's still our year could continue just that little bit longer. Also that, and because we were all nervous and probably just we knew that a lot of Liverpool fans would become a lot of obnoxious fucking unbearable wankers when they won the title. But I had a bit of self-realization that we're the ones that are whining and complaining, not wanting Liverpool to win, making all the jokes at their expense. And then I sort of realized, I just thought like, what if we are the unbearable wankers? Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I mean, look, to be fair, yes, the reaction to winning the title has been expected, but regardless, I now just can no longer knock it, okay? Congratulations, Liverpool. The Premier League season, though, is far from over. In fact, there are 7 games remaining until the end of the season, and with every single team at the time of recording on 31 games played exactly, with each team having 7 games left to go, I figured now would be a great time to make a couple of end-of-season predictions. We're going to start things off with the relegation battle, because that's by far the most interesting. If you look at the table right now, as far as I'm concerned, there are about 6 teams that could possibly go down. I wasn't even really going to include Brighton in the relegation title, or in the title, it's far from a title, in the relegation battle, but I'm throwing them in there just in case. I think there's no chance of Southampton or Newcastle going down. I just think there's no way. Hell, they might get close, they could have a really shit end to their season, but I don't expect them to go down. So what I'm going to do is go through all the 6 teams that I think will potentially get relegated, or could have the potential to be relegated, and make my picks for who I think is going to go down. I'm then going to go to a table predictor for the Premier League and predict the result of every single remaining Premier League game and see, according to all of those games, who would go down. But let's begin anyway with the team that I'm pretty damn sure is 100% going to go down, and that is going to be Norwich. Norwich, sadly, I just think are a little too far away from the rest of the teams in the relegation scrap to even close down. Like, really, it's just they're too far away. There are 7 games remaining, okay? So that's a possible 21 points. It looks very much like the cutoff margin for relegation in the Premier League is going to end up being about like 32 to maybe as high as 35 points. And let's say it is 35 points. That would mean that Norwich would have to win like 4 to 5 of their remaining 7 games. And against the teams that they're going to play, like Arsenal, Brighton, Watford, West Ham United, Chelsea, Manchester City, Burnley as well, don't see it happening. So Norwich, I think, will go down. They'll probably finish in 20th, but who knows? Maybe they get a little higher up, but I can't see Norwich surviving. Now, on the flip side of that, let's go with one team that I'm pretty damn confident will be safe and will not go down. That's another prediction I'm making early, and this is for Brighton. Brighton have some tough games. They have some very tough games, especially to start. They have Manchester United, they have Liverpool, they have Manchester City, but they also have winnable games against the team that we just spoke about, Norwich City. They've also got Newcastle, Southampton, and Burnley. I think there are enough points there possible for them to secure it, and I reckon they can probably end up finishing around that 40-point mark, maybe. Even if they don't, they'll probably still be fine. I'm pretty sure that Brighton will end up surviving. Now, that leaves 4 teams that I think could go down, and I'm going to have to predict 2 of them to say who I think will actually end up in the bottom. Watford is one of those teams. They have got Southampton, Chelsea, Norwich, Newcastle, West Ham United, Manchester City, and Arsenal remaining as their last 7 games. They are tough ones, but I imagine Watford will probably be okay because, yes, they haven't won since coming back, but they're a side that are okay, and they've got some pretty big wins under their belt later, or earlier, should I say, this season. Yes, that was a while ago, and really it's a bit tough to look back to the most, the games that were played before the break because they were so far away, but I think there's still a little bit to be looked at back there. And not only that, the games and the results that they've had, getting a 1-1 draw against Leicester, that's not a bad result for them. And yes, they lost to Burnley, but again, it was only by the 1 goal that they conceded in like the 70th minute. So I still think Watford are a reasonably okay side considering where they are. And I imagine even with some of the tough games that they have, they should be fine. So I'm going to predict Watford to stay up. Another team that is in the scrap is Bournemouth. Bournemouth, who have coming up Newcastle, Manchester United, Tottenham, Leicester City, Manchester City, Southampton, and Everton. I think out of all the other teams in the relegation scrap, I don't think anyone has a tougher finish to their season than Bournemouth. And I think because of that, Bournemouth, I'm probably going to have to say, are going to be one of the teams that will go down to the Championship. It is a incredible, commendable effort that they have managed to even stay in the Premier League for as long as they have. And I felt like this was something that was inevitable. It's been coming, but I think now finally we are going to see Bournemouth leaving the Premier League. That's my prediction. They may potentially pull off a couple of pretty decent wins, some shock results, and stay up, but like, all I know for a fact is that, like, it's going to be so close and so tight no matter who does go down. And with so many of the relegation teams, you know, playing each other, it really could shape that. There are a lot of 6-pointers toward the end of the season. I'm still going to say Bournemouth are going to be one of the teams that go down. Another team that could go down is West Ham, who are sitting in 17th at the moment. They too, with a somewhat tough finish to their season, they've got Chelsea, Newcastle, Burnley, Norwich, Watford, Manchester United, and Aston Villa. And again, like I mentioned before, a lot of teams that they are going to be playing that are in the same position that they're in, facing relegation. Some huge 6-pointers. It's all about whoever wins those games, really, isn't it? It's almost like the teams, you know, playing against the top teams and trying to get a point off of them don't actually matter anywhere near as much as the games that they'll play against teams that are in their similar positions. But it would be nuts if West Ham United was to get relegated. David Moyes sending them down in the London Stadium with a 50,000 seater capacity stadium. It would be insane after they blew up fucking Upton Park, moved to this gigantic running track of a pitch, of a football ground, and then they have to play in the Championship afterward. And I got a weird suspicion that if West Ham was to go down, I don't know why. I don't think they'd be like Sunderland and just completely capitulate, but I don't know if they'd instantaneously bounce back up. Like, I don't know, man. It would be really interesting. West Ham United, if they were to go down, it's like when Newcastle United went down a few seasons ago. Like, a team that big should never even be close, or like, should not be going down. It would be a joke. It'd be ridiculous. But for some reason, I just couldn't see them bouncing straight back up if they were. I am probably going to say that they will survive, and I think it's going to be by the barest of margins, and if they do survive, they'll probably finish in 17th and nowhere higher than that. Which means the last team, and the team that I'm predicting will go down as well, is Aston Villa. They have got games against Wolverhampton Wanderers, Liverpool, Manchester United, Crystal Palace, Everton, Arsenal, and their final game of the season is against West Ham United. And there's a very good possibility that that last game of the season could be the game that decides whether or not they end up staying in the Premier League or not. I keep mentioning it. There are too many 6-pointers in the last final games of the season. West Ham United and Aston Villa have lost plenty of games, but you look at who they've lost against, you definitely say Aston Villa have lost to some lower opposition, that is for sure. And also on top of that, the only point that they've got since the restart against Newcastle was quite fortunate. So I don't particularly back out of, you know, West Ham and Aston Villa. I think West Ham will finish in 17th and maybe Aston Villa in 18th potentially. And I guess that would mean Bournemouth would finish in 19th then. So yeah, that's who I predict will go down. I think Norwich will probably finish in 20th. I reckon it'll be Bournemouth in 19th. And we'll probably just go with Aston Villa in 18th place. But again, it's just going to be too stupidly close. Okay, I'm now going to fill out this table predictor for the Premier League. We're going to go through every single result and put in every single score that I think is going to go down, or at least about as close as I can predict it. And we'll basically see who finishes in those positions. And would you take a look at that? I have got the 3 teams that I predicted to go down, not just correct, but, you know, according to what I said before, but to the exact positions I thought they would finish as well. I've got Norwich City finishing on 24 points. I have got Bournemouth in 19th, finishing on 30 points, and Aston Villa are finishing in 18th place on 31 points. However, I did say that West Ham United would finish in 17th, and that I have not got correct. I've got Watford on 17th, should I say. But here's the kicker, here's the interesting thing. It seems as though it's going to be at least a tie on points between Watford in 17th and Aston Villa in 18th, but it looks like goal difference is maybe what is going to keep Watford up, which is very interesting. When I went through and did all of these, you know, games and gave scores, I either gave a 1-0 win to whoever I thought would win or a 1-1 draw. I didn't say, oh yeah, this team will win by 2 goals or by 3 goals. I didn't really read into it that much. So maybe, who knows, it could potentially be Watford to go down. And hell, as a matter of fact, look at the actual gap between Aston Villa in 18th and West Ham. There's like 5 whole points there. So I've apparently backed West Ham to have a reasonably strong finish. All right, you know, that backs up my, that does back up my prediction. I feel a little bit better about my previous predictions now having done that. However, also with that being said, I'm nervous for Watford now out of nowhere. And West Ham, I suddenly feel a little bit more comfortable for. But on the flip side of that, now let's look at the top of the table. I've filled out the entire table after all. We're basically going to be looking at what the table I am predicting how it's going to look at the end of it. So there are many things that we can look at. Looking at the very top of the table, I have got Liverpool finishing with 101 points. So yes, they are going to break the points record in the Premier League, but not by as much as maybe we would have thought. It's only going to be by just the one. They beat the Centurions. They still only lose the 1 game for the season, that one against Watford. I've got them on 32 wins and 5 draws. You've also got to keep in mind with Liverpool, with the Premier League title pretty much sealed, I would like to think that Jurgen Klopp, even though he'll probably still field about as strong a team as he possibly can, that he'd be more open to rotating and giving other players that haven't gotten much opportunity a bit more of a run. So I don't think we'll exactly be seeing this ridiculously strong starting 11 full strength Liverpool team that we've been used to seeing. I think there'll be some experimentation toward the end of the season, which will open up the door for other teams to take points off of them. So with that being said, I think 101 points would still be a reasonably good result for Liverpool, I reckon. I mean, they've already got the title. Who cares how many points they really finish with? Man City would finish in second, 20 points exactly behind them. Chelsea jump up into 3rd place. That's intriguing. But maybe the most interesting thing is the fact that I have got here Manchester United finishing ahead of Leicester City. I did not expect that. Manchester United are a good number of points behind Leicester City in the table right now. So I am quite surprised that I think Manchester United will finish strong and take a Champions League spot off of Leicester. But yeah, there you go. I mean, I've got them in 5th place, Leicester City, with Tottenham finishing 6 points behind them in 6th place, and Wolverhampton Wanderers finishing in 7th, Arsenal to jump Sheffield, and Sheffield finishing in 9th place. I mean, Sheffield United, since coming back from, since coming back from the break, I mean, they haven't exactly filled me with a hell of a lot of confidence that they will qualify for Europe, but 9th is maybe a bit tough to finish behind Arsenal. But there you go. We got Sheffield United in 9th place, Everton in 10th, Burnley in 11th, Crystal Palace in 12th, Newcastle in 13th, Southampton 14th, Brighton in 15th, and then, yeah, we got the relegation scrap. Okay, well, I tell you what, that's not too out the question. I think that's, Manchester United finishing in 4th ahead of Leicester, for me, I think is the biggest surprise. I wasn't even looking at the table when I was filling in the results. I was just looking at each game going, yeah, no, this team would probably win, or this would probably be a draw. It's too close to split. And this is the honest to God table that we ended up finishing with. So I guess the big thing here is we just have to wait and see if Manchester United can still finish in the Champions League. I reckon they've started or had a pretty decent run since coming back from the break. They've looked pretty sharp. And I reckon there's probably still a little bit more left for them to offer. So I reckon that, yeah, they probably could get this. I guess, however, we'll just have to wait and see though, won't we? Let me know in the comments down below, guys, any predictions that you have for the Premier League. Do you back who I have going down? Do you think it's going to be Villa, Bournemouth and Norwich? Or do you think maybe another club is potentially going to go down? I've completely eradicated Southampton and Newcastle from the equation, but if you think one of them's going to have a shocking end to the season, then again, let me know. I'd be really intrigued to hear who you guys think might potentially go down. But honestly, it's just going to come down to so many games toward the end of the season with so many relegation teams playing each other. Like, yeah, it'll be a crazy finish to the end of the season, at least down toward the bottom. So it'll hopefully be worth tuning into. But that will probably do it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully these predictions go so much better than the predictions I made at the beginning of the season where I said Sheffield would finish in 20th. My God. Oh, I wish I could take that one back. But alright, we'll leave it here. Again, thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Till the next one, my name is MasterBucks. Have a good one. Bye-bye.